Hello, everyone. My name is Andres Felipe Montenegro, and I am going to explain the English for the engineering. So let's start with the introduction. The introduction to the ESP. In this time, the English is too much important for the professional life. When the persons know English, too many doors can be opened. For that, the person starts to need the English for their professional careers. In this point, when the ESP, English for specific purposes, creates this tool improve the communication competence in the language, depending of the people needs. Every vocation of the people needs a different way to speak and different specific words or vocabulary. For that, for that, when the studies take this course, the student already have the basis of the language because the ESP wants teach vocabulary to dominate the skills for their professional activities. For example, one biology wants to learn all about the environment and nature. For that, he needs to learn and he needs to learn all about that. And the content of the course ESP teach different content comparing the same course for another engineer. The English for specific purposes is a personalized course to teach academic English for the people who wants to learn more about the correct form to use the language in their different competence. The next one is the ESP for the engineering. The students around the world starts in the ESP courses for communication to their professional lives. For that, the universities and the plans of study makes changes depending on the necessities of the students for the constant change in the engineering world. Basic, basing in an increasingly internationalized context. Those courses check at differences in the skills of the engineering students. From the moment they start the ESP courses, according to an investigation in 3 universities in Spain and Austria. Results show satisfaction with the ESP course and greater awareness of the natural nature of specialized communication and yield deeper insights into the students' strategies areas where ESP can contribute to better student preparation. Next is the importance of the ESP in the engineer. In engineering students need specific English language practice to communicate effectively. In professional things, for an engineer, have a specific and technical language significate an academic person. This makes a difference between a normal people to an engineer because they need the name of the process. For example, An agronomy engineer needs now the name a lot of natural process for explain how we can improve with technology or investigation. Another important part of this, when an engineer uses in a correct form academic English, have much probability to be accepted in a new job or make good relations with important people. That can be realized more business around the world because the language of the person and how they use it, the people can make a good reference. Finally, most technical information regarding engineer careers is found in English. This, this means that an engineer who dominates the English language will be able to get ahead of his peers because he will have access to a wider range of knowledge as it pertains to his field. Let's start for the specific vocabulary. Angle. Angle is the space between two lines or planes that intersect. A curved masonry construction for spanning and opening. Architect, someone who creates plans to be used in making something assembly. Beam, beam, a long thin piece of material used in construction. Brainstorm, try to solve a problem by thinking intensely about it boldly. Bend out shape as under pressure or from heat. Circuit, an electric device providing a path for current to flow combustion. Composite, consisting of separate interconnect parts. Component, one of the individual parts making up larger entity. Compression, the process of becoming smaller or pressed together constant. A limitation of restriction. Construction, the act of building something. Current, a flow of electricity through a conductor. Dam, a barrier constructed to contain the flow of water. The ESP in context. A real-life example of how English will be useful in an engineering career is in hemp or cannabis production. Almost no Spanish-speaking countries have legalized the use or even research of two crops. However, there are some countries which have legalized it for farming and sport, such as Colombia, my country. If an agronomical engineer in Colombia is trying to start up a cannabis hemp business, he needs to know the niches and ins and outs of both the market and the production of the crop itself, taking into consideration the aforementioned fact that most Spanish-speaking countries have not yet legalized it for research, and only Spanish-speaking engineers would stretch to find any successful technical information about the subject because he will be searching from a small pool of poorly translated research papers on cannabis hemp production. However, an agricultural engineer that speaks English as a primary or secondary language would have the upper hand here as he has access to a much wider array of information that will permit him again more knowledge on the subject at hand and there have a greater chance at a successful hemp cannabis business. For finalize, I have the final reflection. In conclusion, the use of ESP in engineering careers is essential to the professional development of these engineers. The ESP allows the engineers to be more technical and thorough in their work and facilitates any and all communication between different parts as well as any learning that is to take place for the development of the engineer in his field. A more informed and more technically driven engineer is a successful engineer. Now, this is the bibliography, the sources of the information for I make this presentation, and that's it. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye, teacher Juana.